Well, Dylan, it is Monday, July 6th, and we're just inching ever so closer to training camp. And what a time to be alive, as we were talking before we got started of, hey, man, what's been going on news-wise, anything? I was like, no, it's pretty much dry as a Sahara desert out here, Dylan, which is great. I mean, this time of the year, idle hands, idle minds, idle things can happen. But no, hey, we're just chilling, feet kicked up, Cowboys Nation, just relaxing and waiting to get to Oxnard, Dylan. Couldn't ask for much more than that right now.
We are army crawling our way through football
Ooh,
season right
we go
now
football,
with the
football
World Cup
season.
going on.
Yeah.
Listen, dude, I have never been into soccer, but right now with what's
All
going
about
on
it.
in the World Cup, I'm all about. This is my first time really getting into it, and first off, my bets are all paying off, so that makes me more excited.
Oh, yeah,
But second
for
off,
sure.
just like it's way more intense than I ever thought it was. I didn't realize just how crazy soccer is and how fun it gets at the end of these games. But a lot of stuff going on right now with the suspension and all that. But we don't got to get into football talk necessarily.
Well, I mean, you picked a great time to be to come along. I mean, I know there's some people out there that absolutely enjoy the game of football, soccer, year round. Not me. I'm a 4-year guy. Every 4 years, World Cup turned up and ready to have fun. And you picked the right time. I mean, obviously, with America for the first time since 2002, getting a win in the knockout round, and with the opportunity to do it again against Belgium. By the way, Belgium, your waffles suck. Okay, they
I
suck.
for today, I am
For
boycotting,
today.
and we're recording this on Monday before the game.
Right,
So
right.
when it goes up, whatever time during the week, I'll be eating waffles again. But for today, I'm not eating any Belgian waffles. I am boycotting that.
No, but as we'll have some fun with some good old soccer watching tonight, and obviously the Sahara Desert as it pertains to the Army crawl. Love that. Heading into training camp, which is great, and nothing to report. I would say though something I kind of saw getting posted around. Actually, you kind of reposted as well too, and I slid in and commented on it. Was the 2014 Cowboys trip up there to Seattle? Look how we tied together. That's where the U.S. national men's team is going to be playing. Belgium is in Seattle, and that was getting shared. The Cowboys went to Seattle in 2014 and played a game. And man, what an amazing game for them, a crazy game at times, and they got the win. And I saw that highlight package. Plenty were sharing it around yesterday and the day before, and I saw you shared it, and I was like, man, I tell you, I was sitting at the Buffalo Wild Wings at a nice big old round table. We were about 6 to 8 deep, and it's the only time I can recall saying it. Prior or for sure after. Forget the prior though, right? 2014. Don't worry about the prior. We'll go from that point forward. I looked at every single person at the table, and Cowboys fans obviously, and I was like, Cowboys have a shot this year. Like I felt it in my gut after that game. I was like, Cowboys absolutely have a shot this year. Again, don't know if they're going
Yeah.
to get there or not. Obviously, Dez catch, non-catch. We don't want to the DeMarco Murray fumble before that even, but neither here nor there. But that was the first time I can recall, or the last time I can recall, I should say, in after a regular season game, I feel like, okay, the Cowboys are in play to make a run this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you watch DeMarco, and today looking back, you watch DeMarco Murray run, you watch his offensive line block, you watch Romo wiggling his way in the pocket, right? That third down pass to Terrence Williams. Was it to Terrence? Was it to Witten? I don't know if we know that yet. But it was there, and Terrence toe tapped it in. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And it was at that moment that I truly thought that, just like you thought, I thought the Cowboys had something really special cooking, and they did. And it's unfortunate that it ended the way that it ended. But I think that, and I've said this recently on, I think our last show, maybe, I don't remember, but I think Dak Prescott is now at the 2014 Romo levels and has been maybe for a year or two, but just from an IQ mentality standpoint, where that was Romo, field general, top of the game, managed the offense before the snap, took every second off that play clock, right? All the way down, just navigating, directing guys where to go, whatnot, calling things out. I think Dak Prescott is at that point in his career where for the remainder of his career, as long as he's healthy, we'll see that level of performance that we got in 2014 from Romo and last year and the year before from Dak, really 2023, 2025 Dak. We'll see that probably every year moving forward from Dak Prescott. And that has me excited. That could be 3 years, could be 5 years. We don't know. But that has me excited about this team.
Yeah, it was crazy. And as I was thinking about that moment too, I was like, man, even through the 3 12-5 most recent seasons, right? And I was like, man, I don't ever remember feeling that way after that game. And I was trying to go through and think of
Right.
like a point in time during that run. Like, was there a game afterwards? I was like, oh yeah, this team's got a shot. Was never there. Is interesting enough. I mean, 12 years ago, as 12 seasons of football for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's the only one I can pinpoint to that I'm like, after that game, like, okay, there's an opportunity here. Maybe we get that feeling some point this year. Now, I mean, who
I
knows?
tell
I'm
you,
always searching for that point. I'm always searching for that moment again. But to your point on Dak, absolutely. Like, he's locked in now. And I think post injury, we saw that kind of get there. The MVP season of the 12-5 year, which obviously runner up. I'm right there with you. I think absolutely there's nothing in the game that they're going to throw at you that he hasn't seen. And I mean, watching how he operated the last year, yeah, it's super exciting and something the Cowboys fans should be looking forward to.
yeah, and I think to what you were saying before, I think there was 2 seasons after 2014 where I was like, they got a shot, and that was
Mhm.
2016, but it had the rookie quarterback, right? So most likely wasn't going to happen. If they put Romo back in, history, it's not friendly to rookie quarterbacks getting the Super Bowl
Right.
and winning and all that.
That
So
was my
maybe
whole
they put
point for
Romo
sure.
in. Who knows? I mean, Dak was playing so well, though. I don't know how you could do that. That would have been a gutsy decision. Either way is a hard decision to make. So I understand. That's fine. No
Mhm.
blame there. But 2023, the stars really aligned in 2023. And I know it's easy to kind of forget the feeling we had when we got everything went our way at the end of the season to get where we needed to get to in 2023. And then that's why it was such a gut punch when they got absolutely smacked in the playoffs against the Packers. But it really felt like the stars had aligned for that team to at least get to the NFC Championship game. And the team hasn't been the same since then. And I think there's a reason why, because it really felt like it was something special. And it's taken a little bit of time to recover from that. And I think they've recovered now. Just based on the coaching hires, the players they brought in, the feel around the team and the organization, I really feel like they made a strong recovery. And now we can put
Dare
a
I
foot
say the
forward and
excitement?
get there. The excitement. You're right. I mean, I don't want to say fans in general, but I don't think I can speak for myself. I haven't been this excited for a while since probably the 2023 season.
Yeah, and I think if you take a spin even around, the pundits of the NFL around the national market, right? I mean, there's a lot of positive vibes coming from that realm too. Super early, but again, yeah, just we got to get to camp. There's question marks, right? That's what we're here to discuss some of those question marks perhaps today and where it
Los
is. So
preguntas.
yeah, I'm super, and hopefully, some of these get answered the right kind of way, and maybe at some point during the season we can have maybe that feeling after the Seattle Seahawks game,
Yeah.
or maybe at a certain point in the 23 season for you. I'm still searching for that feeling from 2014. I
2014.
wish I wish I would have
This
felt that way a
pure
little bit more in
domination.
2023.
Right.
Yeah, just like man, I was like, man, I've just seen enough football. And I'm like, yeah, this team's got a shot. And look, I'm looking for some of that. And whether that happens this year or not, maybe next year, we'll see. But let's get to let's play a little true or false, Dylan. How about that? We haven't
Yeah.
done true or false. Let's
Yeah,
play a
we
little
got it.
true or false as we're heading to camp about some things, Dylan.
And
You got one? I'll go. I
yeah.
got one for you. I got
Go
one
on.
for
All
you,
right, go
Dylan.
ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. True or false? The biggest question for the Cowboys offense personnel wise going to camp is Mr. Tyler Guyton, left tackle.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I feel like that's kind of a layup because, you know, Guyton just hasn't been healthy. He was drafted in the first round. We all knew he was a developmental
Mhm.
guy when he was drafted. He was going to need time, but he just hasn't been healthy. And if you're a developmental guy and you can't stay healthy, now you're entering year 3, you haven't been able to develop. So you're still stuck making those rookie level mistakes. Your highs are high. He's got really great physical tools.
Right.
When he does well, he does well. But his lows, he's just not. And we all know Shoddy loves consistency. His lows are just too low. He doesn't have that floor where he's consistent enough to trust him at left tackle yet for a full season. Now, if he can get through a full camp, maybe that opinion changes. Maybe we see some things in the preseason during camp that start to change our minds. Getting into week 1, week 2, week 3, maybe he starts to play better. We see some positivity trending the right direction. But this is the biggest year of Tyler Guyton's career because this year might determine if he's a Dallas Cowboy moving forward. He might not get cut necessarily next year, depending on the money and what they have, what they're able to find, but they're shopping starting next year if he doesn't perform well this year. If he performs this year, I think you start looking at potential second contract options at that point in time. So we'll see. What are your thoughts? Do you think he's the biggest question mark, or do you got another position?
I think running back room. Look, I think Guyton. I mean, still have tackle position, right? I mean, let's be clear. So, yeah, that's probably the right answer. I am looking at the running back room still, and look, right, Javonte Williams. What's the problem? You got to get the running mate still, and I think there's question marks there. As it pertains to Blue Mafa. Okay, Benaconda's in the building. What is that going to look like, and how are they going to attack that this year within that spectrum? Um, I think everybody in the building and around the way is like, come on, let's wanting Blue White. We want the thunder and lightning, the home run capability that Blue can bring, and not just in running the ball, but in the receiving factor as well too. So again, I think Guyton's probably the overarching correct answer, right? I would go blue. I'm gonna go blue here a little bit because again, we need to find that, and we saw it at the end of the year for Williams, right? Maybe got worn down just a little bit towards the end of the season. Needs to be able to get that break a little bit more and have a little bit more home run capability, speed, however we want to coin it, change of pace, right? I'm more of a change of pace for this offense with the running back too. And Blue's probably the only. Look, Abanicon is a distant guy that they brought in here that I love from Pitt. He's kind of made the travels around, and we'll see if he gets the opportunity. But right now, right, I would go with Blue. I think
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
go a long ways to help this offense.
That's a good one because it's an important part for the offense, but also for his individual career as well. This is a turning
Sure,
point potentially in his career. Wasn't mature enough his first season. Had a lot of issues in that realm.
consistency again.
Consistency, right? That if you're not consistent, Shotty's not going to play you. And so, hearing good things so far from the mini camps and OTAs and all that. We'll see if that can continue into camp. I
Sure.
got I got one for you though on the other side of the
Okay. All
ball.
right, what we got?
Same thing. Biggest question mark. Is it on defense, Mr. DaRon Bland?
Mm, Mr. DaRon Bland, Mr. NFL record holder, most interceptions returned for touchdowns in a single season. Unfortunately, no cause of his own, can't get the left foot right. Double surgery, DaRon Bland. Ooh, he's up there, right? I mean, for sure. I mean, if he's certifiably a starter for you, it makes the rest of the room kind of move differently. Obviously, I had Kobe Durant, Ravel coming year two, more of the draft pick. I mean, Butler's back from injury, seatbelt. Okay, Carson. I'm gonna go Overshown though. I'm gonna go
Hmm.
Overshown. I'm gonna go Overshown because obviously they're wanting him to be the Mike, and that's going to be a fluid situation when it comes to Mike in this defense in general. I've seen Bland do it for longer, I guess is maybe the best way to put it, and be more available, even though he's had his injuries, but be more available, unfortunately, than Overshown. I do feel like this coaching staff, and obviously Parker, Ryan Smith in the building, right, are have a secondary background that I trust within that spectrum. And there's more bodies in there that have, I would say, more pelts on the wall. I think we're going into camp, and Overshown and Winters are your de facto starters going into camp. Love where Shamar James can get to. Very young Shamar James, 21. What he can get to. We love Barham coming in here. It's not a lot of season on there, though. That's not a lot of season.
Right.
And man, I just my mind goes to what am I more concerned about lining up on week one, week two, week 10? Overshown being available or Bland being available? What makes my stomach queasy? And I think for me within this spectrum heading into camp with that, it's Overshown more than Bland. So although Bland's definitely in the spectrum for sure of that question and how things can definitely help in the backside there. I'm gonna lean in on Parker what he does with the secondary, and I'm gonna go with Overshown is the guy for me. And right, just it's not much of the Blue or the Guyton side of things and how things will operate. Although we could get Guyton to be healthy for a training camp would be nice, but just there's some things there that's going to Overshown. I think we all know he could do it. We've seen him do it, but he's not been able to do it for a very long time because of injury after injury. So, Overshown for me is where I would land on the question
Yeah.
deal.
There's about 5 or 6 guys that you could probably throw in here, right, on defense. But,
Sure.
Overshown, he's never really had like super low lows where you're seeing him get beat and stuff,
Mhm.
right? He didn't play super well last year, but nobody did, and I don't really put a lot of that on him coming
Yeah.
back from injury. Porous, defensive line at times. It, yeah, I like your answer on Overshown there. I think with DaRon Bland, obviously it all has to come down to injuries, but you've seen him when he's
Sure.
healthy not play well at sometimes too. Like you've seen him play really well, sometimes not so well. And so if the
Fair.
question of biggest, X factor or question mark on defense, I guess it just depends how you interpret the question. Because if DaRon Bland can
Right.
play at the all pro level that he played at before, which getting a nice
Good
pass
old
rush will
Briscoe.
help him do that. But then
Right.
that changes everything on defense. I think you could also
Sure.
talk about Savon Ravel, second year guy, right? But same thing with same as Bland. Can he come back and be healthy? Can he be the player that he was in college, right? And can he develop into a certified starter on this defense? Because if he can and he can play at an above average level in year 2, and you've got Bland across from him, you've got obviously Kobe Durant, who might start in one of those 2 spots. We don't really know. That's the competition in camp. I mean, that'll go a long way if you can get at least 2 of those guys, whether that's Bland, Revel, and Durant, 2 of those guys to be average to above average level starters. And
Mhm.
then, and I think they can do that with Christian Parker, the secondary guru and all that, the plans they have with Downs and Thompson and those guys to help out as well. I think the secondary will be okay. I don't know if DaRon Bland will necessarily return to all pro form. I think that's a tall task to ask a guy that's had just constant nagging injuries. But if he
Mhm.
can just stay healthy, I think he can be all right. But that's the key. Stay healthy and not have even the little nagging injuries. Stay completely healthy. Maybe get a little beat up like everybody does during the season, but stay healthy to the point where you're not like having to nurse something throughout the year.
It'd be nice. I mean, the Cowboys deserve a good bill of health for a season. How about that? Where's my lucky rabbit's
It's
foot?
just
So
certain
where I put
guys
that thing.
even.
Yeah,
I
certain
just want to see
guys for
certain
sure.
guys just make it through a year, man. Like, can we get Bland and Overshown through a full season? That would be so
Yeah.
sick. I would love it.
And what a better time than ever for Overshown
Yeah.
contract year. So
Contract year, there's not a lot of competition, but there's no competition behind him. I mean, it's his job, right, at this point. So,
mhm.
big year for him. Go get paid, young man.
Insane. I'm right there with you. Yeah, it's. Hey, we've tongue in cheeked a little bit. I'm like, I just hope we're not looking back in the Sean Lee arc, even and which is kind of
Right.
crazy, right? Sean Lee might have been more healthy at this juncture than Overshown's been, but you see what he can be. Um, yeah, I don't want the Sean Lee arc. Shout out to Sean Lee, who obviously plays some phenomenal football, and maybe could have been one of those guys we talked about. Made it to the Hall of Fame. He had a completely healthy, career and
Absolutely.
how he played, and I just hope that's not going to be the same temperament that we have this conversation 4, 5, 6 years later when it comes to Overshown,
Yeah, and it's
for
a little
sure.
different, right? Because Sean Lee's thing was like he would come in for a game and then be out for 4 games and then come back for
Yeah,
2 games. It was just the
right.
hamstring. His hamstrings hated him, and I don't. This
Mhm.
poor guy. Overshown, obviously, I have the devastating season-ending injuries where it takes a season and a half to
Well,
recover
don't
and all
forget.
that.
Remember, Zach Martin clipped Sean Lee in OTAs and put him out for the year.
Yeah, it's true.
Like his
It's
rookie
true.
his rookie like Zach Martin's
It's
rookie
true.
season, he clipped. He was like, but to your point, so he was just more available though. I big facts. Even though he did miss a whole year, yeah, Sean Lee was more available per se, not by much. So yeah, I'm hoping over Sean. He's put it behind him, and he's ready to rock and roll and lead this defense to the top 20.
Top.
Can I
Hey,
man?
we don't
Top
we don't we
20.
don't want to talk top. We don't want to talk
Yeah,
rankings
yeah,
around
yeah,
these
yeah.
first.
No,
Let's talk
yeah,
about
yeah. I
points per
know.
game. Let's be at
Yeah, that's
21 to
fair.
24
Yeah,
points a game range, right? There's where we
yeah.
got to be.
That'll be a top 20 scoring defense.
Hey, I got a question for you on that
All right.
point. If we're gonna get to the top 21, top
Okay.
or the 21 to 24 points per game, do you
Mhm.
think that's true or false? This one, true or false? Do you think the Cowboys should trade for Maxx Crosby?
Oh man, this is the trade that'll never die, right? I mean, the Cowboys, the night before the Baltimore thing, they'd offered the first, the second. Looks like you can look at like a poly market and stuff. Oh, it's happening. I do think the night prior, I think the Cowboys thought they had. I think the Cowboys did have it done. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. And then Arizona swoops in with 2 firsts. Chicago also offered 2 firsts. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Hey, we came back. We couldn't do 2 firsts. Hey, I think we threw Osa in there. They said, no, we want the 2 firsts. All right, boom. Shake hands. All right. Well, we're good. All right. Out of here. Then, time goes along, and then all of a sudden, well, Baltimore's like, I don't think that he's good enough. Never mind, they might have had another guy signed, Trey Hendrickson. And they shipped him back to the Raiders. And I mean, my goodness, maybe the Cowboys could get Maxx Crosby now, and it won't cost as much anymore. And that kind of went around, the circles happened and whatnot. It has kind of been just here and there. Gets brought up at times. I mean, of course, this time of the year. Wow, I mean, yeah, I mean, nothing else is going on, so why not? True or false? The Cowboys need to trade for Maxx Crosby is false currently. It's false
Yeah.
currently. The Cowboys have built this thing in a particular way that you need to see through. Now we can get to the trade deadline and maybe have a conversation, but currently, right now, I would go with false.
My whole thing is just what's the trade package look like, and what's the compensation for
Mm,
the player that you'd have to pay him, right? What does the cap charges look like? Does he want you to contract? I mean, what are all the details around that, right? Because it's easy to
right.
say, yeah, it'd be cool to have him on the defense. Yeah, let's trade for him, but there's more to it than just that. And the Cowboys are rebuilding this defense, and I'm firmly of the mindset that when you're rebuilding, you have to draft players, and you've got to sign
Yeah.
players in free agency, and you can trade later round picks for guys like they did for D Winters, for example, right? But
Mm,
when you start talking two firsts or a first and a second during a rebuild, that's a problem to me, because then you
right.
end up back in a Micah Parsons situation where it's one guy is holding everything together, and if that guy has a bad week, if that guy gets hurt, well, everybody else sucks around him, right? Where he elevates
Mm,
everybody else. Let's build this thing out, and I think they've done a really phenomenal job at doing this. And maybe the defense is rebuilt and missing just a couple pieces. We don't really know. We'll see. I know they've done a great job this offseason,
yeah.
but I don't think the rebuild's complete. You do still have questions at linebacker. You've got probably the biggest questions are the edge spots. Ezraku dealing with a hip coming into year two. You just drafted
Mm,
Lawrence. You traded for Rashawn Gary. So there's not really a ton of certainty around the pass rush from your edges and what they're able to provide. But I don't think the answer to that is necessarily go out and get rid of two firsts or a first and a second or whatever it might be for a
right.
really expensive player who's dealing with injuries himself, who's getting a little older. Still a really good player,
Sure.
but I just don't think that is the appropriate answer at this
I,
point in time.
I think you make that move, right, if you're close. Not a rebuild, but if you're close, you're trying to get over the top. And case in point, Green Bay traded for Micah last year. Ton of sense, right? They felt like they
Mhm.
were close, and that's where they wanted to go. I look at the Rams. They traded for McDuffie. They traded for Myles Garrett. It did cost them a Jared Verse, but that's not a rebuild anymore. They're saying we're here now. We have a year, maybe 2 year window with Stafford. We were close last year. We're going all in. I don't know if that's. I mean, the Cowboys are coming off a 7-9-1 record. It's just what it is. And with a new defensive staff now, and you're trying to figure those things out. I don't know a 29-year-old guy with a knee situation. Not to say he's not going to be fine or anything, but not for the compensation of two first, not even a compensation for a first and a second. And when it even builds into that, I'm not of the mindset of I wouldn't trade a valuable asset from this team plus a high pick for him either, right? But again, that's why for me it's a false, it's a no for me now. Now, if you get into the season, things are heading in a particular direction. And it's like, okay, look, we might be just a piece away from making a move or making a run. Then circle back and see where it's at. I just don't think there's a
100%.
reason to do it currently right now in the short term, or even though I mean, and even in the long term, because we don't know what this defense is going to be. We're excited for it, and we want to see what's happening. Does Maxx Crosby make your defense better? Absolutely, right. I don't think anybody in the world is going to say if you go add Maxx Crosby that your defense doesn't get better. But what is the cost on the back end? And I think that's just where the
Well,
Cowboys are kind of where they are as it pertains to what they're able to give in the process that they're doing in the rebuild, if that's cost effective for them at the moment.
yeah, and the question is does it cost you a George Pickens, for example, right? They're already kind of up against it. Typically teams don't play don't pay 2 top end wide receivers that kind of money. It
Right.
can be done if they want to do it. They can do it. But when you start trading away top end draft picks, that's your cheap talent for 4 or 5 years, right? On top of that, you're inheriting $30 million cap charge this year, plus whatever the cap charges are moving
let's
forward.
let's walk the Pickens. Let's walk the Pickens path for a second,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Let's walk it for just a second. And you like where Flo is. Flo last year of his deal because you released him last year. Here you would still have him for another 2, but neither here nor there. You had to bring him back. All right. And you say, hey, we feel good about Flo being our 2. Let's go ahead and make that move. Let's just say. Do we know the Raiders ultimately want George Pickens? Right?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And
I
think that a
mean,
lot of people within Cowboys Nation has been very just trade Pickens in our first and go get Maxx Crosby. And I'm like, I mean, cool. I mean, if that's what you want to do, I wouldn't want to do that personally. But let's just say
no.
the Cowboys are willing and everybody gets their wish that the Cowboys would offer that. Who says that the Raiders are like, oh, yeah, we'll take that? There's no guarantee on that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't if I were the Raiders, knowing they have a young quarterback. I wouldn't want to pair Pickens, and I love Pickens. I'm not trying to attack character or anything, but I wouldn't want to pair a receiver like that with a young quarterback. A and B, I really what I meant was next year when we come into contracts and signing Pickens, right, and have the tags involved and all that. What does that look like? If you were to also trade for Crosby. So this season would be great. You'd have Crosby, you have Pickens, you have everybody you want, but then next year you start losing guys because of those contracts, right? That's my bigger concern is I do want to maximize the NFL windows exist. Is the window 3 years, 5 years? We don't know, but the salary cap and the way this whole thing is structured, teams are supposed to be built around windows. And so I want to keep that window open as long as possible. And when you get to the point where you think you're at your peak, that's when you make a trade for a player like Crosby. And the Rams just did that, right? The Rams just did that for Garrett. That's a brilliant move, and it might pay off for him. It also might not. Now they can rebound quickly. It could cause a rebuild, right? It depends kind of what kind of things fall in your lap and what kind of actions you take to get out of that mess. But and I don't think the Cowboys are at a point, just to wrap that up, I don't think they're at a point where it makes sense to trade for Crosby, to inherit all that money, to get rid of capital on a rebuilding team. And as far as like when you look at potentially losing Pickens next year because you traded for Crosby, here's my philosophy. I would love to have, and I think this is the right way to go. It's a lot easier to win when you have an elite offense and an average defense versus an elite defense and an average offense. I think today's NFL, you see a lot of, and maybe not last year necessarily, but typically you see the high power quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, right? The teams that have an elite quarterback, which the Cowboys do in Dak, they have really good receiver play, really good offensive weapons, and typically you'll see on the other side of that maybe a couple of elite defensive players, but you'll see maybe a top third defense or a top half of the league defense versus like the 20th ranked offense and like the 5th defense or the 3rd defense. And I do think defense obviously helps you win championships. That whole saying is accurate. But I don't think that in today's NFL you need an elite defense to go out and win versus it's more beneficial to have an elite offense.
I think you have to have the right kind of defense. And where the Cowboys are ahead of the curve right now, to me at least, are on the curve, I should say. The defenses you're seeing winning right now, and I've been this way for a very long time for those that follow me, you got to be strong down the middle.
Right.
You just have to be like every all 3 levels. You need to be strong down the middle. This game is played in between the hashes more times than not. And whether you look at a Chris Jones and them over there with Kansas City, Jalen Carter and them over there in Philly, and you look at the most recent Seattle Seahawks, right? Look who they have in the interior there in Murphy and oh my goodness, the other guy they got from the Jets. And he went to the Giants and they got him. I forgot his name. Anyways, but interior is where this thing is built at, and that's where the Cowboys are currently. And with having Clark and obviously Big Q in there, who by the way has got a contract coming up, they're going to get a deal done with him sooner than later. And then you flesh that out around it, and that's where this thing really is at for them. And also you get to the Cowboys and the safety and how they've overhauled that safety room. Right, we're getting strong down the middle of the defense. So yeah, I'm with it. I'm with that mindset of, I mean, a efficient offense, elite be damned, just even an efficient offense, right? And that operates and is efficient at a very high level with a defense that's very strong down the middle, more times than not is going to give you an opportunity to win more games than you'll lose. And I think
Yeah.
we've just seen that to be true with the teams that are getting to the Super Bowl and or winning the Super Bowl here in recent years. It's not, and look, everybody wants a flashy pass rusher. I don't disagree. Hey, sign me up. But we're seeing teams finding different ways to do it now because I think teams are figuring out, hey, we can kind of eliminate that, but you can't run from the middle. It's there. It's constant. And where that's at, and we've seen a little bit of a shift here recently when it comes to that. But again, anytime we can get a Myles Garrett type player, though, far be it for me to say, nah, I'm good. And again, I'm not against acquiring Maxx Crosby. I'm cost avert as far as sending, 2 firsts, right? What the original trade package was for him from the Ravens. I'm averse of sending a guy that's under look, Pickens is right, the contract, how long, what's that gonna look like, right? I understand that side of it, whether they want him or not, but a guy that's under contract currently that's on the younger side, plus a pick, I'm not a buyer of that either because I just don't think the Cowboys are there at that moment to get over the hump. Now, again, now I said starting out with the topic, we get to the trade deadline and we start looking around this thing, Dylan, like, hey, yo, this defense coming together.
You just muted yourself.
And this offense is operating a little bit more efficient than last year. Nah, man, we sprinkle a little carrot top in here, right? And maybe
Right.
maybe maybe we can go on a run. Well, that's a different conversation then, for sure. And that's even if the Raiders, but the Raiders traded him once. Maybe they don't want to trade him no more. Who knows, right? I mean, what to get to
Yeah.
that point and do it?
I'm
Does it
sure
seem
his
inevitable? I don't know.
the capital probably went down for the offers after he failed his physical. He failed his physical, right? If that really happened or not. But I'm sure the compensation went down that teams were offering, and so the Raiders now see it as a waste, right? They don't want to trade him for just a second round pick now or a second and a third, whatever that's become. Question mark. And if the Raiders suck, which let's be honest, they got a lot going on over there that needs fixing. They might change their mind come the trade deadline, and maybe they'll take a second round pick for Maxx Crosby at that point, right? And to your point before about pass rushers and all that, I would never poo-poo on the idea of having an elite pass rusher here.
No.
But the history of the league tells you it's not necessary. The last time that a team had an elite, like top 3 to 5 pass rusher on their team and won a Super Bowl, it was DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, the Peyton Manning Broncos.
That's what I thought.
Right? What was that, 2014 or 15 or whenever that was? Sometime around then. But it just goes to show you, it's been a decade, right? So like
it's been a while.
elite pass rush play is nice. I mean, it's important. Yeah. I think it's important to have. You need to get a pass rush somehow. I just would prefer to build a team around a stable of guys versus one guy who could have a bad game, could get hurt. And you saw that with Micah Parsons last year. I don't fault the Packers for trading for him. I think it was a bold move. I think it was a good move for them. And I think they underpaid for him, to be honest with you. But, he went out and got hurt. And that's the risk you take when you start trading all this stuff for these guys, putting it all on one player, right? And that player goes down. What did they lose every game after that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
When you build it all around one guy, that's the risk you take, right?
Indeed.
But it is.
Indeed. So, just much like the Micah Parsons saga is over a year later, still continues around Cowboys Nation. I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll end up speaking on Maxx Crosby.
It would be cool to see him in a Cowboys uniform, though, with all those tattoos and how great and iconic the Cowboys uniform. Like, it would just look good, and he'd be a good player. It'd be fun. So, like, if it did happen, I wouldn't be mad. But at this point, I don't really necessarily want it to happen.
Yeah, I just don't. Again. Time changes everything. Look, if they're like, all right, we'll take a second round pick for him. No caution to the wind, right? But at the packages that I see people are talking about offering, it would be a no. It would definitely be a no for me. But again, like I said, the Maxx Crosby saga is one that until he's either traded or the trade deadline comes and goes. It's just going to be something that'll be in the air around
and listen.
Star.
Maybe the Cowboys are a top 3rd team in sacks, and maybe they don't need to get a trade for a pass rusher. Maybe as Raku's balling out, maybe they're manufacturing some blitzes and stuff in these 5-man fronts. Maybe Barham's got 3 sacks. Who knows how this thing is going to go, right? So maybe they don't need to trade for a guy.
Big Hugh had 12 sacks back in 2022. I mean, he's a guy from the defensive tackle position to get you 10
Right.
sacks.
We haven't seen
We'll
the full
see.
effects of Quinnen Williams just yet. Cowboys fans, stand by. You're about to be
Loading.
in love with what you see from this guy.
Yeah,
Just
him
wait.
and look, and Jalen Thompson as well. It's a guy, kind of the forgotten guy who's been signed, and he was like a guy at the top of the board for me in free agency. Man, I'm so stoked to see everybody react to the kind of play that he's going to bring to the table too. But we'll start that in
Absolutely.
training camp though. Yeah, I guess that'll put a pin in it for today, Dylan. We got some true and false.
Sure.
It's always a good time to talk Maxx Crosby, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, at least for one day, Belgian waffles suck. We're banning. We are boycotting Belgian waffles.
By the time you see this video, you'll know if
Yeah.
it's okay to eat Belgian waffles. If they beat us, you cannot eat them until the next World
No.
Cup. Okay, we're banning them for the next 4 years.
Or
No
you're
Belgian
banned.
waffles.
I like it. I like it.
If we win, go get yourself a Belgian waffle and stick a little American flag in it and enjoy how it tastes.
Big facts. You have a good day.
Cowboys Nation, stand up tall.